So I think a year ago, nobody was tying AI strategy to staff retention. And then all of a sudden this year, a third of staff are saying it could determine whether or not they stay employed.
Hit it! That's what I'm talking about.
Wait! Okay, now, from the beginning.
Hit it, boys.
Welcome to Higher Ed Pulse, your no-fluff guide to artificial intelligence in higher ed. I'm Mallory Willsea, bringing nearly 20 years of edtech and marketing expertise straight to your earbuds. Higher ed leaders are expected to master AI overnight, but let's be real, no one has time to sift through every headline, hot take, or research report. That's why every Monday, I'll break down what actually matters, fast, clear, and to the point. Want to sound like the smartest person in the room at your next team meeting? You're in the right place. Let's dive in. Welcome back to Higher Ed Pulse. On today's episode, your staff is using AI and hiding it. Now, a third say they'll quit if leadership doesn't catch up. We're digging into why proactive employees are losing patience and how the hidden cost of using AI, especially for women, is reshaping how your best talent shows up. With me today to talk about the quiet chaos sitting in your org chart is Carrie Pitts-Densmore, the VP of Enrollment and Marketing at Johnston Community College. She spent 25 years telling powerful stories, shaping brand trust, and building teams that get things done. Carrie, welcome to the Pulse.
Thank you so much for having me, and I'll steal that bio. That was good.
It is yours to use. Now, I know we are both big dog lovers, and we also love cappuccino. And Carrie, you were telling me a really fun story before we hit record. Please tell our listeners. It's so great.
Yeah, so unfortunately and sadly, our youngest dog passed away last month, and we were devastated. And I said, we will not be getting another dog right now. We have a senior dog already. And then I saw this little guy pop up at a rescue, and I knew he was a unique breed. Mm-hmm. And I went to see him, and we brought him home, and my son named him Cappuccino. And he's so cute.
It. I love it. Having just come back from Europe, like Fredo cappuccinos are all the rage right now.
I know.
So you could call Fredo for short. No.
We will, because we have lots of nicknames for him right now. So he's very cute.
The energy of a new dog is always so fun, but it also comes with those sleepless nights. Are you guys holding up okay?
He's sleeping great.
Oh,
and
good.
Honestly, it made our hearts happy, so we're good.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. It is like having a new baby, though. I love those little pups. All right, well, we're going to dive right into today's topic and waste no time. There is some new research from Upskilling and Education Dynamics. We'll link to it in the show notes. They have this finding that 65% of staff are already using AI tools in their work. That feels right. But only 56% of institutions have any formal plan to support or upskill them. Now, meanwhile, I caught this new study published in the Harvard Business Review. It reveals what some employees fear most: not being overlooked, but being penalized. Reviewers rated workers as less competent when they used AI, with women receiving twice the penalty of men for identical work. These disconnects are reshaping retention. In 2024, just 1% of staff said their institution's stance on AI would affect their decision to stay, and this year it's up to 34%. So we know your staff are using AI, but they're hiding it. They're doing more with less, but they're still being questioned. And that's the culture they're navigating. And it's why AI strategy now sits squarely at the center of how institutions are going to keep or lose their best people. Carrie, we've got the data, right? 65% of staff are using it, but the numbers don't carry as much weight as lived experience does, and you run a really terrific team at Johnston. So what is something that you've seen or felt, particularly in these past 6 months this year, that made this whole AI retention risk feel real to you?
Yeah, there's so much to unpack here, and I'm sure we could sit here and talk about it for a couple of hours. So it was just stunning to me to have this data that you sent, and I was glad to see it. But I think, a few things. actually, at our institution, we don't have a formal plan yet about how we're going to use these tools. And our president has said intentionally that he wanted people to feel comfortable with it first. So we have introduced it, we have trained people on certain things that we're using it for. Faculty are using it as well, and they've had some professional development around that. We continue to have that. But we didn't formalize a plan or have a task force because he really wanted people to play with it and feel good about it. But we are getting there, and we have talked about that. And, I have some positions where it is required that you use the AI tools that we have. It's just part of the job. There are some others where it's not necessarily required, but we still would like to introduce you to it. And I had, an instance recently where I realized even some people on my team, which are new to my team, but they didn't quite understand the extent of what AI can do. They know about it. They're not shy about it. They understand that they're going to have to use it, but they really don't understand. And I don't know that I fully understand, or any of us, what it can really do yet,
Yeah, I think that's a really fair point. When we talk AI, it's not just helping us send emails faster. It's not just the chat bot, right? Some of these things have faster turnaround times. So I think that's why we're hearing about them and seeing case studies about them and such. But I think you're exactly right that AI can do so much more. It can impact our workflows. It can impact our listening to how the audience is responding to our brand and our content processes. There's just a lot of space still for where AI can come in. And I really appreciate, even if you don't have formal policies drafted, just the fact that your president opened the door to experimentation. That is a few steps ahead of where many institutions are. So kudos to your president on that.
Well, yeah. And I think the thing is that, it's just happening so quickly. And in some ways, I feel like, and this is not unique to my institution, I think it's across higher ed, we're behind on a few things. And so we were trying to catch up on just having a CRM period, right? Mm-hmm. So we've done that in the last 2 years. And now you introduce all of this stuff, and it's just so much coming at us so quickly. But if we don't do it as higher ed institutions, if we don't get on board, we are going to be behind. And we probably already are in so many ways,
So I think a year ago, nobody was tying AI strategy to staff retention. And then all of a sudden this year, a third of staff are saying it could determine whether or not they stay employed. And we have since, certainly since the pandemic, been dealing with a significant retention crisis within our institutions of our top talent. And so this stat really makes me nervous. And it's the kind of movement that says something is building under the surface, and it's building really quickly. How are you interpreting this data around the 1%, 34% spike in just a single year?
Well, I kind of thought about it two ways. And one was, okay, there's so much fear around it. And so if you're forced to do it, then I don't want to stay and be forced to do it. I'm not going to do it, right? I think that's probably one thing that's playing into it. But I think another one is probably, if you're not going to do it, I need to be skilled in it. So I'm going to go somewhere where you have a plan.
Yeah. And I think that's it right there, because whether or not you're at an institution where your president is opening the door to experimentation, I can guarantee there are staff members, and it may skew to the younger staff members, but there are staff members who are using AI for absolutely everything. And we're going to dig into the HBR article in a moment, but if I can't get it at my employer today, and I don't think that shift is going to happen within the next 6 months, and I know how fast AI is moving, I'm out of here. I'm going to the employer where I am going to get upskilled, because I know that this is the future.
Right. And another thing I thought about in reading this was, what if the people who understood it today at my institution walked out the door?
Oh,
We
crap.
don't have it. We don't have the knowledge anymore.
Right.
So, it's really interesting what we're going to do with this issue.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about your campus and your department a little bit more. I know you lead creative and digital teams and especially in enrollment, like the pace, the pressure, the politics, and I'm sure you've seen what happens when innovation is expected but not enabled. And so, what are like the non-negotiables that a leader like yourself has to get right now in order to retain top talent?
Well, I will say that I've learned a lot in that area, and I would probably do it a little bit differently if I had it to go over again. And by that, I mean that we wanted to implement this so quickly, and honestly, you almost have to. And so you're kind of building the plane as you're flying it, right? And nobody likes that feeling. I mean, I'm always like, just do it scared, take the risk. But a lot of people are afraid of that, and they feel anxious and this trepidation around it. And I understand that. I think what I would have done differently is had we had the budget, I would have had a third party come in and explain, what is this going to do for you? What can it do for you? Why should you learn it? And then where do we start? But I think we were kind of in a position where it's like, we have this thing, we have to learn how to use it, and we have to make it work. Because also, I think if you're buying these tools and you're investing in them and you're not teaching people how to do it, I have seen over the last 2 years, I have, people call me from different colleges, different institutions all over the country. And they're like, how did you get your CRM to work? But the thing is not the CRM. The CRM works by itself. They already, invented
That's
that.
fair.
It's the culture. It's the people. It's how you go about, teaching them to use it. So it kind of works together in that way. And I think we're doing better in making sure that people feel comfortable with it. And we kind of take it department by department and show them how to do it, spend a little one-on-one time with them rather than bring them all into a huge session where they might not feel comfortable asking questions. That's a thing too. If you really don't understand, you don't want to ask how you get your username, It's tough. So we really do try to spend a lot of one-on-one time with them, which also takes a lot of our time, but I feel like it's worth, investing in that. And I have recently taken on some new team members, and I am so excited to just spend some time with them, showing them how we can save them hours in their day easily. But I said to them already, I said, we're not going to do it right now. We're going to get through this enrollment cycle. We just crossed a huge milestone, 6,000 curriculum students.
Ooh, congratulations.
Yes. And so we're going to get through that. But I said, if we take the time, I know it seems like a lot to take several hours to build this, but I promise you, if we put the time in up front, on the back end, your life is going to be different at work.
Amen to that. So this is the perfect lead in to circling back on that HBR article, which again, listeners, I'm dropping the link into the show notes and you really got to go read this. Carrie, you just talked a lot about building the right culture, training people. Now, this HBR article talks about the hidden penalty of using AI because many people don't work for someone like you who is willing to build the culture and, the positivity around using these tools. A lot of proactive employees are actually hiding their use of AI because they're afraid they're going to look less competent. And in fact, the research coming out of Harvard indicates that others around them think they're less competent and women at, a much higher percentage. And so what does that create? It creates silence, mistrust, and burnout, especially in roles where perception already matters more than it should. So you just talked about coaching some of your colleagues. Have you run into in your teams or just out, because I know you're, really well plugged into the North Carolina Community College system and the higher ed industry at large, have you run into an individual who has kept it quiet when they've been using AI? And what do you think is behind that instinct to hide?
So a couple of things I thought were really interesting about that. And one is that nobody's actually said to me that they're hiding it. But I thought that is a pervasive thing in higher ed, to hide information from others, building those silos, because there is a fear. And I'm not saying, this is not exclusive to higher education. I've worked in corporate. It happens there too. But that's how silos are created. We don't want you to have this information, because if you have it, then you're going to take our job, or we aren't going to be needed anymore, or, things along those lines. I really, I can hear Jamie Hunt in my head all the time. Let's bust some silos, because I really feel the opposite. I think the more information people have, the better they are at their jobs, and the more they can help others. And I just want everybody to, know everything. I have nothing to hide. But I do understand that does happen, and that is a fear. And I think, just a lot of all this stuff around AI and your jobs and what's going on with penalizing people potentially is fear, right? I mean, people are scared. But also, I thought, as soon as I read that, wow, one more thing that women have to prove themselves.
I just threw my pen for people who can't see me. I literally that is boiling my blood.
Yep.
Just add it to the long list, Carrie. Oh man, I want to swear right now, but I'm not going to.
I know.
I'm so angry about that.
I was like, great. I just learned, yay, that there's one more thing that people are going to think I'm incompetent at doing, because, I thought about this morning when I was getting ready. There are people like you and me and Jamie and Carrie Phillips, and, I can name a whole host of people, and I'm leaving people out, but who are tapped into this, who do know what they're talking about, who do know what they're doing. And if someone said that we didn't because we're using AI, I would be stunned. I would be shocked.
Yeah. It's quite discouraging.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you overcome discouraging the very people who are leading the way with the tools and also acknowledge the reality of this competence penalty. I don't know that you or I are the experts here to unpack that, but it is just this intersection to me of vulnerability, value, and visibility. And, and us women, we got to be perfect. We got to prove we belong. But now, heaven forbid we use AI to assist us with any of this, because there's data that shows we're going to be judged more harshly for it. It's so frustrating.
Yeah. And another thing that I thought, I actually had sort of the opposite reaction to it. Like I said earlier, there are positions that I have that require you to understand it. And if you don't, obviously we're going to try to help you understand it. But if it comes to the point where you just don't want to do it, you're not going to catch on, or, whatever, then you may be penalized in that way too, because I have to have the people that do it. So I see kind of both sides of that too,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, let's connect this to something that's taking place just next month. You're the president of Prima, and I want to give you some space to tell us a little bit about what Prima is. I know that you're bringing together an entire community that is excited to upskill, excited for professional development. And so Tell us a bit about Prima, Carrie, and also, like, what role do you think a gathering like Prima can play in all of this shifting campus culture to help us overcome some of these challenges that we've been talking about?
Yeah, so Prima is for the public relations, information, and marketing folks at our North Carolina community colleges. So anyone who is involved in that is invited to come. There's no dues. We have an annual conference and meeting. And so we are really focusing this year on AI. And of course, we're going to have you speaking, and I'll let you plug that too. But we're going to have several sessions on AI or how you deal with change management, because that's a large part of it. But, I think what those kind of gatherings offer for us is that we get to talk to the people who do exactly what we do every day. And we understand that, hey, this can be done. How are you doing it? We're able to talk that out and spend actually quite a bit of time doing that. So we get ideas from each other. Some of them we take it, we leave it, whatever. But we do listen to each other and see, what's going on in other schools. And honestly, because of sort of a statewide implementation of some CRMs, we've already been having these conversations with each other on best practices and how we implement it. And we all have the same SIS. So, how do you logistically do this? So we've been kind of really working together all year and have decided that we want to have more than just our annual conference for this reason, because it's just happening so quickly, and there's so much that we can learn from each other, and it's important for us to take the time to do it.
Well, I am continuously more and more impressed by the institutions in North Carolina for really leading the charge on a lot of this. And, so if staff retention is going to continue to be a challenge for those institutions who are not providing those upskilling opportunities for AI, like a conference like Prima, wow, can't come at a better time. I am so excited to be there to deliver the keynote this year. So if you are in North Carolina, hey, this is a fun room that you can be into, and we'll put a link to where you can learn more and register in today's show notes. Carrie, as we wrap this one up, I'd love to ask you just, you have, and you referenced this already, but you've worked in higher ed, out of higher ed, right? Newsrooms, real estate. You've led culture shifts, tech cycles and implementations, and now it's this AI moment. So what is one belief that you hold about AI and leadership that you think most people in higher ed still don't get, and you want to bring them up to speed?
I think the most important thing, having been outside of higher ed, is that we are slow to adopt a lot of things that the outside world is doing. Our students, whether we want to think of them this way or not, are consumers consuming our product who expect service the same way they get it from Apple and Amazon. They want to come here and get the same service. And if we don't keep up, we're going to be irrelevant. There wasn't a competition for community colleges necessarily before. There is now. I could go take a class online pretty much anywhere, even at another community college. I don't have to go to yours. So the options are there, and we really do have to think about what we're doing to service our students in the best way possible. Of course, we want to change their lives. That's what we're here to do. But they're going to go somewhere else to change their life if we don't get on board,
Yeah. And we need to not get caught up with the shiny object syndrome or whatever. And so I just so appreciate you bringing us back to the real mission of what it is we're doing in this industry. It is in service to the learner, in service to the student, and helping them. And gosh, that is such a beautiful way to end our conversation today, Carrie. Thank you so much for joining me on The Pulse. And I can't wait to see you next month in North Carolina.
Thank you, Mallory. I appreciate it.
Well, enjoy all those cappuccino snuggles once we hit off on this recording. And folks, we will catch you next week. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to the Higher Ed Pulse. The show is a proud member of the Enrollify Network, home to Higher Ed's largest collection of podcasts. Enrollify is where higher ed goes to grow. So be sure to check out our other podcasts, webinars, video clips, blogs, and more. Visit Enrollify.org and subscribe for all the latest details and content drops directly to your inbox. Enrollify is brought to you by Element 451, the digital workforce platform for higher ed. Learn more at element451.com.